and free on all platforms.
Raise your right hand, please. I, Ketanji Brown Jackson,
I, Ketanji Brown Jackson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will administer justice
that I will administer justice
without respect to persons.
without respect to persons.
A landmark moment in American history. With an oath, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson becomes the first black woman to ever sit on the Supreme Court. This monumental swearing in on the heels of the court's blockbuster rulings on abortion and gun rights. And two other final decisions from the justices today, one on the environment, delivering a major blow to the president's climate goals, and immigration ruling. The Biden administration can end the Trump-era policy forcing most asylum seekers to wait in Mexico without filing their claim. How these consequential decisions will impact our country and what's on the docket for this fall. ABC's Devin Dwyer is standing by. She's at the forefront of the January 6th committee. For the first time since the hearings began, Representative Liz Cheney is talking about the investigation into the attack on the Capitol. Our Jonathan Karl sat down with the vice chair of the House committee to discuss what's next and the aftermath of Cassidy Hutchinson's shocking testimony.
I'm absolutely confident in her credibility. I'm confident in her testimony. And the committee is not going to stand by and watch her character be assassinated by anonymous sources and by men who are claiming executive privilege.
They left for a more promising future. Instead, they lost their lives in the deadliest human smuggling incident in our country's history. Tonight, the stories of those who died inside a truck in San Antonio and what we're learning about the 4 men charged in the investigation. They're tasked with protecting the art, and they're connecting with it, too. A Baltimore museum has launched a program that lets the guards curate the displays.
What do you say to those that might wonder, what does the security guard know about art?
There's more to museum security guards than just dragging your feet around in circles. We're musicians, we're poets, and we're artists.
Retirement is designed to be fun, so why not showcase it all on social media? Meet the Retirement House, a group of older content creators finding TikTok success in their twilight.
In my mind, I'm still 40. I just realized that I wasn't anymore a few weeks ago.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. She has said that it took her family only one generation to go from segregation to the Supreme Court, and today we saw that history made at the Supreme Court with Ketanji Brown Jackson. After the end of a tumultuous term that included the unprecedented draft leak of the abortion decision, a landmark case on guns, and 2 major decisions today, one on immigration, the other on the environment. Those decisions were followed by the swearing in of now Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, now the 104th Associate Justice and the first black woman ever on the highest court in the land. Prior to her swearing in, the Supreme Court ruled that the Biden administration can scrap the Trump-era policy that forced most asylum seekers to wait in Mexico while their cases are decided. But the court also dealt the White House's climate agenda a major blow by limiting the EPA's authority to set climate standards for power plants. Overseas President Biden blasted the court for, quote, outrageous decisions on abortion, guns, and the EPA. Cecilia Vega is traveling with the president. She'll have more in just a moment. But first, our Devin Dwyer, who covers the courts for us, leads us off with more on that major ruling for the environment.
Despite growing dangers from climate change, tonight the U.S. Supreme Court curbing the government's power to fight it. In a 6-3 decision, the court's conservative majority limiting the Environmental Protection Agency in how it regulates power plant emissions under the Clean Air Act.
Certainly, the court's decision today makes it harder for EPA to address climate change and the pollution that causes it.
Chief Justice John Roberts writing that only Congress, not an unelected agency, can set policies to transform an entire industry. A nationwide transition away from the use of coal may be sensible, he writes, but it is not plausible that Congress gave EPA the authority to order such a change.
It is a big deal that EPA can no longer rely on that most cost-effective and cost-efficient way to reduce emissions.
In dissent, Justice Elena Kagan accusing the court of stripping the EPA of power to address the most pressing environmental challenge of our time, writing the court does not have a clue about how to address climate change, and of the decision to prevent EPA experts from setting the policy, I cannot think of many things more frightening, she writes. The Supreme Court has twice ruled that EPA can regulate greenhouse gases, but environmental advocates say today's decision will handcuff its ability to blunt the impacts of global warming.
The Supreme Court today, they took one tool out of EPA's toolbox to regulate greenhouse gas emissions from the country's power fleet.
The decision is a major victory for coal companies and Republican-led states like West Virginia, whose leaders fought to defend the fossil fuel industry against what they call government overreach. West Virginia Attorney General Patrick Morrisey led the group of 18 states suing the EPA.
I think it's a tremendous victory for the rule of law, for the American people, for those folks who care about the separation of powers in our country. A lot of people are going to try to make this into an issue about climate change. This is about ensuring that Congress, not unelected bureaucrats, get to make the major decisions of the day.
The U.S. power sector is the nation's second largest source of CO2 emissions, but also the source of 1.7 million jobs.
So how much has coal been a part of your life and your family?
Oh, it's pretty much everybody's, West Virginia period, it's pretty much in everybody's life.
At the John Amos Power Plant in West Virginia, we got rare access to see how coal is burned to power millions of homes and businesses, but also producing carbon dioxide, a major driver of climate change.
This is where the coal is actually burned, ignited through these burners into the boilers, creating 3,000-degree heat, sending ash and greenhouse gases through the pipes.
Last year, the plant released 10.8 million tons of CO2, or the equivalent of more than 2 million cars driven for a year. The plant has been emitting earth-warming gases since the early 1970s.
EPA regulations forced coal-fired power plants to install what are called scrubbers. These contraptions at the bottoms of the stacks to remove sulfur dioxide from the exhaust. What they don't remove is carbon dioxide.
The EPA will soon release new regulations aimed at capping those gases. Today, saying in a statement, while deeply disappointed in the court's decision, it is committed to using the full scope of EPA's authorities to protect communities and reduce the pollution that is driving climate change. But no longer in its toolkit for setting standards, so-called generation shifting, wind and solar. Chief Justice Roberts writing, a decision of such magnitude and consequence rests with Congress itself.
What's the impact going to be here?
The impact here is going to be increased mining, increased pollution. We can't continue to risk everything for energy. Coal keeps the lights on, they say, but at what cost?
Devin Dwyer joins us now. And Devin, you are also following another major decision from the Supreme Court on the Remain in Mexico policy.
Yeah, Lindsay, that one, a big win for the Biden administration. It was a 5-4 decision written by Chief Justice Roberts, joined by Brett Kavanaugh and the liberals. The court allowing the Biden administration to end that policy known as Remain in Mexico for asylum seekers that kept thousands of people looking for refuge in the United States south of the border. Texas had sued to keep it in place. But the Chief Justice today writing that President Biden, President Trump have broad discretion under the law to set that policy and that Congress never intended a president to be overridden in matters of foreign policy. Of course, this policy involves negotiations with Mexico, and he said simply in this case, Lindsay, that the president can, in fact, end that policy. So good news for him and those asylum seekers.
And what does ending Remain in Mexico mean for the border?
Yeah, I was told today, Lindsay, by a number of experts who have studied this, the immediate impact will be rather minimal. The flows at the border of migrants have been significant, just 239,000 last month. That's a record. Most of those are being fast-tracked back into their home countries under what's known as Title 42. That's a separate authority imposed under the COVID emergency. So there will be no wave of migrants let in today because of what the Supreme Court did. Asylum access is still very severely severely limited. That said, the court today said the president can keep his promise in ending the Remain in Mexico policy and move towards what he has called a more humane and patriotic approach to these people in need.
And Devin, before we let you go, Ketanji Brown Jackson has made some serious history today, retiring Justice Breyer, swearing her in right after the court's term ended. And Devin, she joins a court that's set to tackle some more controversial cases next term.
A landmark moment. You and I were there to witness it this afternoon, Lindsay, to cap what a divisive and dramatic term. In fact, one of Ketanji Brown Jackson's close friends told me today that she's thanking her lucky stars that she wasn't on the court for this term, that she's clear-eyed, ready to get to work. Of course, she won't change the ideological balance on this court, but she will have an impact. She brings experience, fresh experience. The first time we'll ever have a federal public defender, former public defender on the bench. First time we'll see 4 women on the bench at once. President Biden today reacting to all of this, saying that black girls will now see themselves reflected for the first time in 233 years. And yeah, she will get to work in October. The court has a packed docket for the fall. You thought saw blockbuster cases this term. Get ready for next term. They'll take on a challenge to affirmative action. They're going to take a look at whether businesses can discriminate against LGBTQ people. And a major case they just announced today they will hear next year regarding election law that could have significant impact for the 2024 presidential election, Lindsay.
All right, we'll buckle our seatbelts. Devin Dwyer, our thanks to you. And thank you so much for your tireless reporting the entire Supreme Court term for us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Lindsay.
And overseas, a week of high-stakes meetings with allies has now concluded. And tonight, President Biden is blasting the Supreme Court, accusing the justices of destabilizing America. Our chief White House correspondent, Cecilia Vega, is traveling with the president in Madrid tonight.
On the world stage for the last day of this high-stakes summit.
Good afternoon, everyone.
President Biden today turning his attention back home, blasting the Supreme Court and what he called its outrageous behavior. The historic ruling overturning Roe v. Wade now prompting a major shift for the president. He wants Congress to pass abortion rights protections at the federal level and says he now supports carving out an exception to Senate rules that would allow Democrats to do this with just a simple majority rather than 60 votes.
I believe we have to codify Roe v. Wade in the law, and the way to do that is to make sure the Congress votes to do that.
But the president, well aware that key members of his own party have said they're not on board with eliminating the filibuster, even when it comes to abortion rights. And just as the president was about to board Air Force One for the flight home, another blow to his domestic agenda, with that Supreme Court ruling limiting the EPA's ability to regulate greenhouse gases. The decision effectively making it impossible for his administration to reach its goal of cutting greenhouse gas emissions in half by 2030 and eliminating carbon by 2050. The White House calling the decision devastating, saying it aims to take our country backwards.
Our chief White House correspondent, Cecilia Vega, joins us now from Madrid. Cecilia, as we've reported, the president did get a victory at the court today when the court allowed the administration to end the Remain in Mexico policy. How's the administration responding to that, as we know the situation at the border is quite complex?
Oh, so complex, Lindsay. You're exactly right. Look, the White House hasn't actually responded to this particular ruling yet, but certainly they are chalking this one up to as a victory, a rare victory in the courts when it comes to immigration, an area where they have lost a number of cases in recent months. Look, the reality is the administration really hasn't been relying on Remain in Mexico much to turn people away as their reasoning to turn people away to seek out their asylum cases on the other side of the border. They have been maintaining all along that that was too dangerous for so many people, that they faced horrific conditions like torture and sexual assault once they went back and waited sometimes years to have their cases heard. They've been frankly using this Title 42 so much more. That, of course, is that other Trump-era policy that allowed officials to turn people away at the border using the pandemic, health, as a reasoning for turning them away. But look, others are celebrating this as a win tonight. The ACLU, which has long opposed this Remain in Mexico program, is saying that this is long overdue. They say that this has been long and unjustly delayed, and it is time for this administration to once and for all do away with this program, Lindsay.
And Cecilia, of course, it was also a whirlwind day for the president, this final leg of his trip. And he held a rare news conference where he was also pressed on the sky-high gas prices. What did he say about how much longer Americans can be expected to pay these record prices?
Yeah, so he's not giving an actual date, but look, he is essentially telling Americans right now to brace yourself. This is going to be a very long haul for everybody. You've heard him. We've talked about this so much. He's blaming Russia and the war in Ukraine for these sky-high prices. And what he is saying right now is that Americans should expect to feel the pain on this, quote, for as long as it takes, Lindsay.
All right, Cecilia Vega for us in Madrid. Thanks so much, as always, Cecilia. As we continue to learn more about the victims of that tragic humanitarian catastrophe in San Antonio, the number of dead remains at 53. Families spread across multiple countries, from Mexico to Honduras and Guatemala, desperately await answers about their loved ones. One of the men charged appeared before a judge in San Antonio this afternoon. ABC's Maria Villarreal has those details.
More than 1,600 miles away from home, brothers Fernando and Alejandro Caballero died trying to make their way into the United States to find work.
Lo planeamos todos como familia para que ellos pudieran pues tener una vida diferente, para que lograran metas, sueños. Ese fue el punto de partida.
Their mother, Karen Caballero, detailing their smuggling journey to the Associated Press, leaving the small town of Las Vegas, Honduras, traveling through Mexico and across the South Texas border, holding tight to better memories of her sons.
Mis hijos siempre fueron los niños más lindos de mi mundo. Eran muchachos sanos.
The young men were 2 of the 53 people killed after smugglers left them in this abandoned 18-wheeler on the side of the road south of San Antonio. The alleged driver of the tractor-trailer, Homero Zamorano, and 3 other men now charged with smuggling, resulting in death, facing life in prison and possibly the death penalty. 64 men, women, and children were inside that truck, which likely faced temperatures well over 150 degrees. New details being released about how this could have happened. Officials believe Zamorano drove through a Border Patrol checkpoint 3 hours before the trailer was found. Federal agents failing to thoroughly inspect the truck, which Mexican officials say was using the license plate of another truck. The criminal complaint says after abandoning his truck, Zamorano hid in the brush, trying to masquerade as one of the victims before being arrested by San Antonio police. Only 11 people survived, among them a 23-year-old woman from Guatemala that met with local commissioner Rebecca Clay Flores.
She said she was traveling with her brother. And she said, I was looking for him, but I was too weak, and then I fainted. And I don't know if he fainted too.
The San Antonio community coming together to mourn lives lost. The grief of losing so many extending to the communities where many of these migrants once lived. Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Mexico.
Mucha gente se va de acá de Izúcar a buscar una mejor vida. ¿Qué es una mejor vida? Pues tener los recursos que aquí no tenemos, porque acá no tenemos empleo, no tenemos buena paga. Entonces yo también a veces he pensado, digo, irme. ¿Y por qué? Por mis hijos, para que ellos tengan una mejor vida.
Fighting back tears, Manuel de Jesus Tolul says his son Wilmer left to help support his 3 siblings back home in Guatemala.
Él me dijo que, papá, voy a ir a luchar, quiero mi casa, quiero algo. Así me dijo mi hijo, pero lamentablemente sucedió.
Just 3 days after 53 people lost their lives, a new incident reported today about 100 miles away from where that tractor trailer was left abandoned. This time, 4 people dead and 3 left in critical condition after a suspected smuggler led law enforcement on a high-speed chase. The hope of leaving behind a life of struggle continuing to outweigh the risk of being smuggled into America.
People making some tough decisions there, thanks to Maria. Now to the war in Ukraine, where the family of one of the American veterans in the custody of Russian-backed separatists tells ABC News his captors want to make a deal. It comes as Ukrainian forces have scored a victory retaking Snake Island, a key strategic location in the Black Sea. ABC's James Longman reports from Ukraine's coast in Odessa tonight.
Tonight, the family of American Alex Druki, who was taken by Russian-backed separatists in Ukraine, tell ABC News his captors want to make a deal.
The people who have him are very, very eager to
negotiate his release.
The U.S. Embassy in Kyiv today saying we are seeking to learn as much as we can and are in touch with the families. But the U.S. doesn't recognize the breakaway regions as legal entities, so formal negotiations are unlikely. And tonight, a symbol of Ukrainian resistance reclaimed from Russia. Snake Island is the strategic outpost in the Black Sea, occupied by Russia since February 24. Defenders of the island at the time became national heroes for responding to Russian calls to surrender with an expletive. Well, today, Ukraine bombed them off the island. Satellite imagery confirming Putin's forces have retreated. These images, provided by the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, show artillery striking the island June 21.
And Lindsay, it may be that the new long-range missile systems like the US HIMARS that are arriving in this country now may have been part of Russia's calculation to leave Snake Island. Lindsay?
James, thank you. Record holiday travel is now underway, and it could be the busiest 4th of July weekend in the last 2 decades. Nearly 48 million Americans are expected to travel despite the high gas prices, airport crowds, and picketing pilots. Here's ABC's Stephanie Ramos.
Tonight, hundreds of Delta pilots picketing at packed airports as millions of families make the mad dash to escape for the holiday, standing shoulder to shoulder at Hartsfield-Jackson and Detroit Metropolitan, demanding better pay and better scheduling.
The cancellations are frustrating for the pilots as well. Management has it within their control to adjust the schedule.
After thousands of flights all over the country were canceled last weekend, Delta's CEO Ed Bastian promising customers they'll do better, writing, "If you've encountered delays and cancellations recently, I apologize."
The airlines are really struggling on any given weekend, and with these high volume holiday weekends, they're really struggling.
Tanika Smith from Boston had to pay $200 for another ticket to get to New Orleans.
I'm really annoyed and angry because we had already prepaid and booked and budgeted paying for our flights.
With all the problems in the air, a record 42 million are opting for the Great American Road Trip, 500,000 more than before the pandemic.
Stephanie Ramos joins us now. Stephanie, I'm trying to get a peek behind you. George Washington Bridge traffic, not so bad, at least right now, but 42 of the 48 million Americans traveling this long weekend will be driving. When are the best times, the worst times to hit the roads?
Well, basically right now, tonight until 8 o'clock and then tomorrow between 12 and 9 are said to be the absolute worst times to get on the road. This despite gas prices still averaging close to $5 nationwide. People still getting out there, sticking with those plans, Lindsay.
That's right. All right. Stephanie Ramos, our thanks to you. Now, weather could, of course, throw the best of travel plans off course. There's the potential for severe weather in the Northeast, and we're tracking a tropical threat in the Gulf that could take aim at Texas and Louisiana. Rob Marciano joins us now. How's it looking out there, Rob?
Well, Lindsay, it looks more like August than the last day of June as far as the tropics are concerned. We have 3 disturbances that we're watching. Let's take a look at the map here. One heading into the Caribbean. That's got a slight chance of developing, but that will be with us for a good week. So we'll watch that. And this other one with a 90% chance of being our next tropical cyclone, likely become a strong storm before it heads into Central America and then the Pacific. But what is pestering the upper Texas coastline right now is also tropical, and that's going to bring some heavy rain, it looks like, to Galveston, to Houston, to Beaumont, Port Arthur, to Lake Charles, already doing that. The crux of this will be over the next 24 hours. 4 to 6 inches of rainfall. This area does need rain, but getting this much at any one time will probably create some flooding. Severe weather, you mentioned that. We've got some tonight across parts of northern Wisconsin and the UP of Michigan. That watch is up, and that front will be slowly draping across the Great Lakes and eventually into the Northeast come Saturday. And I think we'll see some strong storms from Philadelphia through Manhattan, Hartford, and into Boston, possibly some damaging storms as well. That looks to be the roughest day of this holiday weekend. Lindsay?
All right. Rob Marciano, our thanks to you as always.
You got it.
When we come back, the brutal murder, a mother pushing her stroller when she's killed on a New York City street. Closing arguments in the trial over the death of Nipsey Hussle. We have the latest details. But up next, in her first interview since the January 6th hearings began, our Jonathan Karl sits down with Liz Cheney about the proceedings. Stay with us.
With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any place else. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast, now streaming on ABC News Live.
This is ABC News Live.
The crush of families here in Poland.
At refugee centers
In Putin's Russia.
on the ground in Ukraine.
Close to the front line.
Here at the White House.
Destructive Cat 4 storm.
Here along I-5.
Boston is in the bullseye.
Let's go.
We made it.
ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news. Anytime, anywhere. Streaming 24/7, straight to you for free.
Thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
Admit it, these days, what you need to know
seems to change just about every day.
What is it that you really want to know, need to know?
To help you not just get through your day,
But to make the most of it. Feel smarter.
feel better.
Feel happier.
Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America?
GMA 3, what you need to know. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
It's all about you.
The hottest views in daytime are happening right here.
We talk about things on this show that people don't talk about.
That I can't wait to see. Honest takes from strong women.
We need all hands on deck, and we need it right now. This is the time to speak out.
Unafraid to get real.
We stick by our points of view.
We're all seeing it differently, and that's the beauty of The View.
And that's why the most watched #1 daytime talk show is The View. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
America is being poisoned with fentanyl, and we don't even know it.
Just heard my wife screaming. She told me they had just died.
50 to 100 times more potent than morphine.
Keep breathing, come on. It's poison, it's pure poison.
A few grains of salt worth of fentanyl will kill you.
Just my agency has seized enough to kill the entire country.
ABC News Live presents Poisoned, America's Fentanyl Crisis. The powerful series, streaming free on ABC News Live. Take America's #1 news with you, anywhere you go, anytime, free. Download the ABC News app now. Breaking news, exclusives, 24/7. There for you with one touch. The ABC News app. Download it now. America's #1 news, ABC News. Most watched, most trusted, and streaming live to you, anytime, anywhere, and free. This is ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news, free to you 24/7. Watch America's #1 news whenever you want it, wherever you are, anytime. ABC News Live, streaming live and free on all platforms.
We're here showing our face because we lost somebody or somebody's suffering. Enough is enough. Show your face. We have questions. We want answers. We demand answers. We're not here just to sit around. We are demanding answers. Show your face. Answer our questions now. Now, now, now.
That anger was unleashed during a Uvalde City Council meeting where families expressed their frustration over the lack of answers and accountability more than 1 month after that horror. The mayor said he was frustrated too and encouraged families to press the district attorney and state agencies for answers. Now to our exclusive interview with Representative Liz Cheney, Vice Chair of the House Committee on the January 6th attack on the Capitol. She's speaking out for the very first time since those hearings began following the bombshell testimony from a former White House aide who portrayed former President Trump as enraged and out of control while the chaos of January 6th played out. ABC's chief Washington correspondent Jonathan Karl sat down one-on-one with the Congresswoman at the center of the hearings.
Cassidy Hutchinson, I saw you went and gave her a hug after she testified. Why did she go where so few have gone before?
Look, I think that what Cassidy Hutchinson did was an unbelievable example of bravery and of courage and patriotism in the face of real pressure.
As you know, there's an active campaign underway to destroy her credibility. Do you have any doubt at all in anything that she said to you?
I am absolutely confident in her credibility. I'm confident in her testimony. And the committee is not going to stand by and watch her character be assassinated by anonymous sources and by men who are claiming executive privilege.
Most explosively, Hutchinson recounted what she said Deputy Chief of Staff Tony Ornato, a Secret Service agent, told her about Trump's actions after his speech outside the White House on January 6th. that Trump demanded to be taken to the Capitol, where Trump supporters were already breaching barricades, and what he did when the Secret Service refused.
The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, "Sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel. We're going back to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol." Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel.
Did you seek testimony from Tony Ornato or Robert Engel to corroborate or to refute what she said?
I don't want to get into too many details. The committee has spoken to both Mr. Ornato and Mr. Engel, and we welcome additional testimony under oath from both of them and from anybody else in the Secret Service who has information about any of these issues.
Do you expect that that testimony will be live testimony, under oath, like her testimony, and for the world to see? How is that going to happen?
Look, we have been working with the Secret Service. We've interviewed, as I said, a number of individuals in the Secret Service. We will continue to do so. And I think it is important that their testimony be under oath.
Hutchinson also testified about White House counsel Pat Cipollone's desperate effort to keep Trump from going to the Capitol.
Has he said anything to the committee that refutes anything that Cassidy Hutchinson said at the hearing?
He has not. Mr. Cipollone's discussions with the committee so far have been informal, and we look forward again to his on-the-record testimony. The American people deserve to hear his testimony.
Overnight, the January 6th committee subpoenaed Cipollone to formally testify before the committee.
Pat Cipollone was there for it all. I mean, there was probably nobody outside of Mark Meadows who had closer access to Donald Trump on January 6th and in those days before. Do you think that we will see Pat Cipollone testify?
I really hope we will. I think that this is an instance where the presidency, the American people, where we've been through something we've never been through before, and where there's a very real and significant chance that, you know, that there was behavior underway about which Mr. Cipollone expressed significant legal concerns, and I think he has an obligation to testify.
We asked Cheney about the explosive allegation she made at the close of this week's hearing, that witnesses coming before the committee have been threatened by people close to Trump.
Do you know who was doing it?
I don't want to comment on that. But it's very serious. It really goes to the heart of our legal system. And it's something the committee will certainly be reviewing.
So you think some of the testimony you received wasn't truthful because people were threatened?
The way that I would put it is that it gives us a real insight into how people around the former president are operating, into the extent to which they believe that they can affect the testimony of witnesses before the committee. And it's something we take very seriously. And it's something that people should be aware of. It's a very serious issue, and I would imagine the Department of Justice would be very interested in and would take that very seriously as well.
Fascinating conversation there. Jonathan Karl joins us now. And John, we know the committee has subpoenaed former White House counsel Pat Cipollone. Where does that stand tonight on whether or not he'll testify?
Lindsay, I am told that conversations are underway between Cipollone's attorney and the committee, and that both sides, this is very interesting, both sides are privately saying they are optimistic that he will ultimately testify before the committee. There is no agreement yet. If he does ultimately agree to testify and comply with that subpoena, it is most likely to be a closed-door testimony, recorded and, of course, under oath.
Got it. And we heard that Liz Cheney, we heard her there talking about witnesses being pressured by those in the Trump world. And apparently there's some new information on that front tonight.
Yeah, we have learned that Cheney mentioned that there were two witnesses who had described being pressured in some way, trying to have their testimony influenced by people close to Trump. One of those witnesses, we are told, was actually Cassidy Hutchinson. Of course, she ultimately did not give in to that pressure and came out to tell her story anyway.
We all heard that. Jonathan Karl, our thanks to you. And be sure to tune in for more of John's exclusive interview with Liz Cheney this Sunday morning on This Week. Still ahead here on Prime, the major break in the case after a woman is arrested after 43 days on the run for allegedly killing a romantic rival who was also a cyclist. You have to meet these grand influencers who have taken TikTok by storm. And on this historic day on the Supreme Court, we take a look at the institution by the numbers. But first, our tweet of the day, a trunk dunk, courtesy of the San Diego Zoo.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you? Yeah.
So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do?
Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 12 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
This is ABC News Live.
The crush of families here in Poland.
At refugee centers
in Putin's Russia.
On the ground in Ukraine.
Close to the front line.
Here at the White House.
Destructive Cat 4 storm.
You're along I-5.
Boston is in the bullseye.
Let's go. We made it.
ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news. Anytime, anywhere. Streaming 24/7, straight to you for free.
Thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
America is being poisoned with fentanyl, and we don't even know it.
Just heard my wife screaming. She told me they had just died.
50 to 100 times more potent than morphine.
Keep breathing, come on. It's poison, it's pure poison.
A few grains of salt worth of fentanyl will kill you.
Just my agency has seized enough to kill the entire country.
ABC News Live presents Poisoned, America's Fentanyl Crisis. The powerful series, streaming free on ABC News Live.
These days, with so much going on, it's hard to keep up.
While others are recapping yesterday's headlines,
We're bringing you the right now.
This is the busy border crossing. Steel barricades, another strike.
The Right Now look at the day ahead, how it affects you and your family.
Record high gas prices.
the threat of cyber warfare.
Is peace possible?
World News Now beginning at 2 a.m. Eastern, followed by America This Morning,
America's #1 early morning news.
streaming here on ABC News Live.
Take America's #1 news with you anywhere you go, anytime, free. Download the ABC News app now. Breaking news, exclusives, 24/7. There for you with one touch. The ABC News app. Download it now.
As of today, in a big way, we have inaugurated abcnews.com.
A lot has changed in our world since Peter made that announcement. But what hasn't changed is the commitment to groundbreaking reporting and innovation at abcnews.com.
Everyone, as the Supreme Court wraps up a landmark term, today's swearing in of Ketanji Brown Jackson as an Associate Justice marks several new historic milestones. Let's take a look by the numbers. Jackson, of course, is now the first black woman to ever serve on the nation's highest court and the 6th woman overall in the court's 233-year history. And for the first time, 4 female justices will serve together on the bench as Jackson joins Justices Kagan, Sotomayor, and Coney Barrett. Her seating also means that there will be 3 justices of color serving together for the first time. Justice Breyer's retirement at age 83 now makes Clarence Thomas the oldest sitting judge. 74 years old now. He's served on the bench for some 31 years. And at 51 years old, Jackson is the most junior justice on the court, but not the youngest. Amy Coney Barrett at 50 has that distinction. And there are now 4 justices in their 50s, meaning they very well could serve together for several decades to come. And we still have lots to get to here on Prime tonight. Our closer look at the first known case of CTE in U.S. professional soccer, and yet another bison attack in Yellowstone. The Art Museum security guards who now have their very own exhibit. But first, look at our top trending stories on abcnews.com.
With so much at stake in our world right now, we wanted to thank you for your trust and for making ABC News America's #1 news.
And thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
Now streaming on ABC News Live 2020. True crime, cinematic, real-life drama, stunning, the unthinkable. Follow the clues, The Hunt. True crime 2020. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
National parks are incredibly safe places. A crime will happen.
Kramer
trauma. My wife had fallen. She's in really critical condition.
At that time, I thought it was just a tragic accident.
There's still a lot of questions we need to ask.
There were small things that didn't totally add up.
This is 2 lives for Harold that have died now. I was shocked. Something's not right.
Admit it. These days, what you need to know
seems to change just about every day.
What is it that you really want to know, need to know?
To help you not just get through your day,
but to make the most of it. Feel smarter.
Feel better.
Feel happier.
Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America?
GMA 3, what you need to know. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
It's all about you.
I know what happened, and I'm not guilty.
Why the fascination with criminal trials? Figure out what's really out there.
She revealed she had murdered his family.
I know in my heart they did this.
It's the time of suspicion. The ending's really tough.
You don't know whether truth is going to be difficult to find unless you try to find it.
America's #1 news, ABC News. Most watched, most trusted, and streaming live to you anytime, anywhere, and free. This is ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news, free to you 24/7. Watch America's #1 news whenever you want it, wherever you are, anytime. ABC News Live, streaming live and free on all platforms.
The Supreme Court issued 2 final opinions today before closing its term and ushering in history.
I am pleased to welcome Justice Jackson to the court and to our common calling.
Ketanji Brown Jackson was sworn in as the first black woman to sit on the high court. Her mentor, Justice Stephen Breyer, helped oversee the ceremony just moments after he retired. Justices issued 2 final opinions, including a key decision on immigration, ruling the Biden administration can end the Trump-era Remain in Mexico immigration policy.
Conservative Justice Kavanaugh joining with the liberal judges in the deciding vote. The court says federal law does not require the administration to send migrants it doesn't detain back to Mexico to await U.S. hearings on their asylum claims.
The other opinion by justices ruled the EPA does not have the authority to regulate emissions from power plants.
It marks a defeat for the Biden administration, which has pushed for companies to switch to cleaner energy to reduce the impacts of climate change.
The final case marks an end to the contentious term where the Supreme Court expanded gun rights and overturned Roe v. Wade.
A Texas woman accused of murdering a professional cyclist arrested in Costa Rica.
Caitlin Armstrong was a fugitive on the run. She's accused of murdering 25-year-old professional cyclist Anna Mariah Wilson, her love rival, allegedly in a fit of jealous rage. Armstrong found at a hostel in Costa Rica on the run. Police say she sold her vehicle and left Austin, then went to New York using a fake passport and then on to Costa Rica.
Closing arguments began in the trial of Eric Holder Jr., the man charged in the 2019 killing of rapper Nipsey Hussle. Holder was reportedly attacked by other inmates and cut with a razor while in a holding cell, waiting to be transferred to court for a hearing Tuesday. No motive was given. He's charged with first-degree murder, as well as 2 counts of attempted murder in the incident that took place outside of Nipsey Hussle's clothing store in Los Angeles. The late rapper was just 33 when he was killed. He had just released his first major label album a year before his death and would go on to win 2 posthumous Grammys in 2020.
Police in New York City are searching for a gunman who shot and killed a 20-year-old woman while she was pushing a baby stroller on Manhattan's Upper East Side. Police say the gunman fired 1 shot, then ran away.
The victim texted a relative right before she was gunned down. She said she was meeting her baby's father because they had things to work out.
The victim was identified as Asia Johnson. Sources told ABC News that police want to speak with the baby's father, but he has not been named as a suspect. The baby was not harmed. Another bison attack in Yellowstone National Park. Officials say a 71-year-old woman from Pennsylvania was gored yesterday when she and her daughter inadvertently approached the bison while they were returning to their vehicle. The woman's injuries were non-life-threatening. It's the third reported bison incident at Yellowstone this year. On May 30th, a 25-year-old woman was gored and tossed 10 feet into the air after getting too close to one near Black Sand Basin. And then earlier this week, video showed a man being charged and attacked near Old Faithful Geyser. Park regulations warn visitors to stay at least 25 yards away from bison at all times. At 86 years old, American Airlines flight attendant Betty Nash is the oldest and longest-serving flight attendant in the world. Nash started flying in 1957. The Guinness Book of World Records made the record official this week. Nash is allowed to choose any route she wants, but is loyal to routes taking her between New York City, Boston, and Washington, D.C., which allows her to be home every night with her special needs son, who she cares for to this day.
What a sweet story there. Now to the first public case of CTE in an American pro soccer player. The New York Times reports that Scott Vermillion's diagnosis nearly 2 years after his death. Now his family is speaking out about the condition. ABC's Ariel Reshef has the details.
Former Major League Soccer player Scott Vermillion's family opening up about his posthumous diagnosis with CTE.
We actually were able to find out what was going on, and then the guilt set in because we would all handle it different if we knew it was CTE.
Chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, is a slowly progressing degenerative condition believed to be associated with concussions or subconcussive blows to the head that can cause memory loss, depression, and aggressive or impulsive behavior.
You can get concussions in soccer, but it's not the major problem that we find that leads to CTE. It's really these little hits that what we call the subconcussive hits over time can also cause damage to the brain.
For a decade after he was sidelined by injury, Scott's dad says his son retreated from loved ones, isolating himself, abusing alcohol, until that devastating call on Christmas Day 2020. He had overdosed on prescription drugs and passed away at the age of 44.
You heard about it, but around soccer, there was no talk of CTE. There was nothing. So we had no idea.
But the disease has been identified in players from major contact sports, from ice hockey to boxing to football, found in the brains of more than 300 NFL players.
So Scott, who played for 22 years, probably had substantial numbers of these subconcussive blows. And as he ages, the disease gets worse and he starts to develop more and more symptoms. They become more and more disabling.
MLS telling ABC News Major League Soccer's highest priority is protecting the health and safety of our players. MLS has comprehensive policies to educate players, coaches, officials, and medical staffs about the importance of head injury identification, early reporting, and treatment.
Our thanks to Ariel. We turn now to our weekly segment, TikTok, where we take a closer look at the story behind the sensation. Move over, young content creators. There are some new kids in town. Our next guests are not your average grandparents. They are known as grandfluencers and have earned nearly 4 million followers with their wholesome content on TikTok as Retirement House. Let's welcome our guests, Rose, Mabel, Bubby, Curtis, and Larry. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
I am excited to have you guys on. Rose, let's start with you. Most people, they retire to a quiet beach somewhere, maybe Florida, but not you guys. Explain to us the concept behind the Retirement House and how you heard about it.
Well, it's a funny little show where we make people laugh, make them feel warm inside, and we kind of came together. We were complete strangers. We came together, and now we're family.
So how do you, first of all, my mom is like mid-70s. I guess I won't shout out her age, but she is always like, how do you download stuff from the cloud? Or how do you what is this TikTok? How do you guys know how to use, the social media?
We have wonderful content creators that come, and all we have to do is come in and have fun. And they do the camera work, the lighting work, the location work, directing, producing, everything for us. So it's more fun than a job.
And do you all live together, or do you meet up to make the content?
We meet up.
We meet up.
So you guys all have your own homes, and then you come together, and then you create this.
That's
creative.
We have a ball.
There is talk of us all moving in together, though.
Do you all come up with your own content?
No, our directors, who are very clever, put together the content. They edit it. They do everything.
You guys are one-take wonders. Larry, you all appear to be really in tune with social media. Talk to us about when you first discovered TikTok, how you learned about it. Did you ever envision yourself creating these one-minute dance videos?
Oh, no way. No way. I didn't think I could still bend the ways that they have it. I've been a dancer all my life, and I have really missed being on camera and dancing, and now I have a chance to do it again. I'm so thrilled.
Well, I'm so impressed with you guys' moves, you know. You guys really have these impressive dance moves. Mabel, who keeps you all up to date with the latest trends?
Oh, these guys, they watch it all the time. They know exactly what's going on, and they're about 3 steps ahead of it all the time.
Mm-hmm. And they have explain to us what everything means.
Bubby, what's your favorite thing you've done so far?
I would say everything. Just everything. I have such a good time when I come here that I go home and I'm so exhausted from having so much fun that I can't move the whole next day.
She's the one that can do the splits.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that's impressive. I can't even do a split. How many of you guys by hand are grandparents? And what do your grandkids think about your TikTok prowess?
All my grandchildren and my children are very, very, very supportive.
The very first time that I went on TikTok, I saw a girl that looked just like my granddaughter, Kira, and then I looked again and it was my granddaughter. and she called me and she said, Yeppa, I've got 60 followers. You have 4 million. What's going on?
We love it. And Curtis, you have been dubbed the Grandfluencer. Is this what you thought your retirement was going to be like?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, I have trouble with things like retirement. I have no children to measure my years. So in my mind, I'm still 40. I just realized that I wasn't anymore a few weeks ago.
I think we all feel like we're still 40 because that's how we're all acting.
That's good. Love your energy. A reminder to all of us that age is only a number. I actually feel older than my age, so you guys are really helpful reminders to kind of take from that fountain of youth every once in a while. So we really appreciate you living by example for all of us. Rose, Mabel, Bubby, Curtis, and Larry, we thank you so much for joining our show this week. And again, you can find them on TikTok at Retirement House.
Don't let them fool you into aging.
That's a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Don't let them fool you into aging. And finally tonight at the Baltimore Museum of Art, the security guards don't just protect the art, they spend the most time with it. So during their shifts, they have time to study the pieces, reflect on all the galleries while devoting hours watching over it, which is why the museum decided to offer them a first-of-its-kind opportunity. ABC's Kira Phillips has the story.
It's safe to say these security guards at Baltimore's Museum of Art not only take pride in guarding these pieces, but they get it.
What do you say to those that might wonder, what does a security guard know about art?
There's more to museum security guards than just dragging your feet around in circles. We're musicians, we're poets, and we're artists.
Kellen Johnson paid for college by working as a security guard, graduating this year with a degree in vocal performance. Now singing opera in 5 languages. Elise Tinsley is a single mom. Army veteran and painter, her artwork sending a message to the women in her community, including her daughter.
My paintings are everything that I want her to be. I want her to be strong. I want her to be prideful. I want her to be confident.
Michael Jones has a master's in fine arts.
It's one of a kind.
Working security early on in art school. He found inspiration as an illustrator. And Derek Mangus is a prize-winning writer.
Culled from memories.
He's been a security guard at 4 different art museums.
When we dream, we are in harmony with the irrationality of the depths.
Earning a degree from Harvard, one of the benefits of working security there.
Yeah, I had to pay $50 a course, but that was just the application fee. And then I worked
Must be nice.
Right.
So, yeah, that's one perk of working at especially a museum that has a university attached.
But now, all these guards and part-time artists are procuring yet another perk of the job. An unprecedented idea that took them all by surprise.
Yeah, I was texting several guard friends like, wow, is this for real? Are you going to do this?
I thought they were kidding me.
But the museum wasn't kidding. These guardians were receiving a new gig, curating their very own exhibit.
As a security guard, did you ever imagine you'd have curator on your resume?
No. I think security guards are really overlooked as just somebody that's there telling people to turn off their flash, telling people to take a couple steps back, please don't touch. So be able to add something so lovely to my resume, never in a million years.
17 BMA security guards, now guest curators, creating their own gallery, Guarding the Art. Each piece of art highlighting their diverse voices.
If these paintings had a voice, what kind of songs would they sing?
Emotion, feeling. With the chaos, this is organized chaos to me.
Verdant parks and fountains that remind us of home.
As an artist, I like that sort of attraction to the magic of it.
Rarely heard voices working on the front lines of the museum.
Who would expect that the guy sweeping the floor is articulating what's going on in the gallery?
Are you a curator? Are you a docent? Like, what exactly is it that you do here? And my answer would always be the same. I would always say, nope, I'm just a guard.
From the shadows into the spotlight.
So do you find people coming here looking for the security guard, not necessarily the Picasso?
It seems that way. Right away, see me if I, the first or second gallery, and then immediately ask, so are you one of the guards doing Guarding the Art?
And reinforcing that old adage.
Art is in the eye of the beholder.
It's opened some paths I thought were closed.
Has totally changed our lives in ways that we never, ever, ever would have imagined or expected.
Culled from the
whether it's through an eloquently worded piece or whether it's through Kellen's amazing vocals or a sketch. There's something that people can see that they can be inspired by as well. And it doesn't always have to be the big name that's on the wall. It could be the little guy standing in the corner.
Appreciating Guarding the Art while admiring the art of the guard.
Mein guter Geist, mein besseres Ich. Du meine Seele, du mein Herz, du meine Wohnung,
Really fascinating, Kira. Our thanks to her. And you can catch the Guarding the Art exhibit at the Baltimore Museum of Art until July 11th. Before we go tonight, the image of the day. We led the show with this moment, and because of its historic nature, we felt that we should conclude with it as well. Former Justice Stephen Breyer administering the judicial oath to the newest Supreme Court member, new Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. And that is our show for this hour. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Coming up in the next hour, the so-called Don't Say Gay bill officially becomes law tomorrow in Florida. On this, the last day of Pride Month, we take a closer look at anti-LGBTQ laws and how some are pushing back. Plus, more on the Remain in Mexico Supreme Court ruling. Stay with us.
America's #1 news, ABC News. Most watched, most trusted, and streaming live to you anytime, anywhere, and free. This is ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news. Free to you 24/7. Watch America's #1 news whenever you want it, wherever you are, anytime. ABC News Live, streaming live and free on all platforms. Take America's #1 news with you, anywhere you go, anytime, free. Download the ABC News app now. Breaking news, exclusives, 24/7. There for you with one touch. The ABC News app. Download it now.
With so much at stake in our world right now, we wanted to thank you for your trust and for making ABC News America's #1 news.
And thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
He thought he was God.
He's now one of the most vilified men in the world. He is the everyman. Zelensky is the Tom Hanks of Ukraine.
The fact that a little nice Jewish boy is 5'7" is showing up this KGB agent in the Kremlin.
What do you say to Americans who see Russia and you not only as a rival, but an unfriendly adversary?
Two men at war.
Which Vladimir will take over. The world is not going to be the same.
So what's good to read this summer? Well, Kate and I have decided to jump in and help you.
And we're talking with Oprah, John Irving, and so many popular authors and influencers.
So we want you to join us. Myself, Charlie Gibson, and my daughter, Kate Gibson.
Oh, hey, that's me.
That is you. For the new podcast series, it is called The Bookcase with Kate and Charlie.
We will make sure you love what you read.
Listen anywhere and anytime. The Bookcase Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi there, I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We're monitoring several developments here at ABC News at this hour. Police have released images of a person of interest wanted in connection to a mass shooting in Washington, D.C. that killed a 15-year-old boy, Chase Poole. The June 19th shooting took place during a festival called Mochella, which was celebrating Juneteenth, according to officials. They say that the Gun Violence Archive Poole is just one of 651 children ages 12 to 17 who've died from gun violence this year alone. U.S. Senator Patrick Leahy of Vermont has a broken hip as a result of a fall in his home, and he's set to undergo surgery to repair it, according to his office. The 82-year-old Democrat, who was born blind in one eye, fell Wednesday night in McLean, Virginia. Doctors determined the best course of action would be to have surgery to repair the hip as soon as possible. TikTok, the popular app that flourished during the pandemic, harvests swaths of sensitive data that new reports show are being accessed in Beijing. That's according to the head of Federal Communications Commissions. In a letter to the heads of Apple and Google, they urged the companies to remove the app from their app stores. Brendan Carr, who is the head of the FCC, said that TikTok harvests users' data and poses a, quote, unacceptable security risk that gives China sensitive user data. Now to the historic day for the U.S. Supreme Court. After a tumultuous term, there were two final decisions from the court today, one on immigration, the other on the environment, the latter marking a major blow to President Biden's climate change agenda. And the court ended its term with the swearing in of the court's newest member, Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first black woman ever on the nation's highest court. ABC senior national correspondent Terry Moran covers it all for us from Washington.
At the Supreme Court today, a major blow to the Biden administration's efforts to fight climate change. In a 6-3 decision, the court's conservative justices voted to sharply cut back the EPA's ability to regulate greenhouse gas emissions from power plants. Chief Justice John Roberts, writing for the majority, at first acknowledged that capping carbon dioxide emissions may be a sensible solution to the crisis of the day. But Roberts declared that sweeping regulations like the one at issue in this case, aimed at reducing power plants' carbon output nationwide, go beyond the lawful authority of the EPA and must be approved by Congress first. A decision of such magnitude and consequence rests with Congress itself, Roberts wrote. The case was brought by West Virginia's Attorney General, representing a group of Republican-led states and coal and mining companies.
A lot of people are going to try to make this into an issue about climate change. This is about ensuring that Congress, not unelected bureaucrats, get to make the major decisions of the day.
Justice Elena Kagan, in a scathing dissent joined by the court's two other liberals, insisted that the Clean Air Act, passed by Congress more than 50 years ago, gives the EPA flexibility to address climate change, and she blasted her conservative colleagues for taking it away. The court appoints itself instead of Congress or the expert agency, the decision maker on climate policy, she wrote. I cannot think of many things more frightening. But on immigration, a victory for the Biden administration. In a 5-4 opinion, the justices ruled that President Biden can end the so-called Remain in Mexico program, the Trump-era policy that forced roughly 70,000 asylum-seeking migrants to languish in Mexico as they waited for their cases to be resolved. Biden tried to end the program as soon as he took office, but a federal court reinstated it. Tonight, Chief Justice Roberts again writing the opinion, saying the lower court imposed a significant burden upon the executive's ability to conduct diplomatic relations with Mexico. In his dissent, Justice Samuel Alito accused the Biden administration of planning to simply release into this country untold numbers of aliens, adding, but the court looks the other way. And on this final day of a contentious Supreme Court term, a moment for the history books. After 233 years, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson sworn in as the first black woman Supreme Court justice in U.S. history. Her husband holding up 2 Bibles as Chief Justice Roberts delivered the oath.
I am pleased to welcome Justice Jackson to the court and to our common calling.
Quite a monumental day there. Terry Moran joins us now. And Terry, some history there as Justice Jackson now joins the court. Obviously, she won't change the ideological makeup of the court, but what does she bring in? And what will stay the same as she takes over now for Justice Breyer?
What stays the same, Lindsay, is, as you mentioned, the ideological makeup. It's still a 6-3 conservative majority. But there's an old saying that every new justice makes a new court. Because the personal dynamics of just 9 justices do change. And Justice Jackson brings so much, that brilliant legal mind that she has, that history as a public defender in American courtrooms, representing some of the poorest and really the most despised Americans. The court hasn't seen that in a long time. And the legacy of black American women. And already, she is facing a major voting rights case that is on the docket for next year. This is a case that will test whether state legislatures, politicians, can take control of all of a state's elections, not courts, not secretaries of state, just the politicians in the state legislature. That will be coming just in time for the 2024 campaign. Lindsay?
And as you say, she brings so much experience, not just as the public defender, but on the Sentencing Commission, the Circuit Court, District Court, so much there. Terry Moran, our thanks to you as always.
Thanks.
Joining us now for more context and analysis on what this decision means for the ongoing humanitarian crisis on our border is ABC News contributor Maria Elena Salinas. Maria Elena, thank you so much for joining us tonight. As Terry just discussed, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Biden administration when it comes to the Remain in Mexico policy. Some estimate about 70,000 asylum seekers have been sent to Mexico through MPP. Even if just half of those decide to cross over, what's the scenario our immigration system is facing with this influx?
Hello, Lindsay. Well, it doesn't really work that way. They don't just cross over. They go to the border to present their asylum request. And it's really up to the Border Patrol agents now to look over it and decide if it's deemed credible. They also need to have proof that they're being persecuted. Asylum is very, very, very difficult in this country. And you have to have proof. You have to qualify. There's a lot of very strict rules. There are many who have already been allowed in, by the way, even with the Remain in Mexico policy in Title 42 under a humanitarian parole. These are people that are elderly, that are sick, maybe families with young children, have already, even with under Title 42 and the Mexico policy, and the Remain in Mexico policy, have already come to the U.S. and have either been in shelters or have been released to their family members. The system is overwhelmed, though. You know, there's a huge backlog because the U.S. doesn't have enough resources. They don't have enough detention centers, immigration judges to handle so many cases. So people are sent to shelters in the U.S. and eventually released to their family members or their sponsors, like I mentioned.
What kind of impact will the lifting of this policy have with the Title 42 still in place?
Right. Well, I mean, there are 2 different policies. Title 42 effectively turned away people from certain countries because of the health emergency. Homeland Security has made it very clear that Title 42 was imposed because of the pandemic and not part of immigration policy, but it just added another layer to the Remain in Mexico policy, which was specifically geared toward asylum seekers. That's who it affects. They now have permission to come to the border. And since they have the legal right to request asylum and the U.S. has the legal responsibility to at least listen to their cases, it makes it a little easier for them now that it's been lifted. But like I said before, getting asylum is extremely difficult. In fact, just this year, it's a very slow process. In 2022, less than 1% of asylum cases have been resolved. So you can imagine how complicated it is.
Certainly. And according to an interview the Texas Tribune did with an immigration rights activist, they said, quote, "It's a bittersweet victory after so many lives have been lost to atrocious immigration deterrence policies, both on the federal level and in the state of Texas." From the human smuggling aspect, do you think that this message will only exacerbate things and possibly lead to the loss of more human life?
Well, I mean, definitely what we saw in San Antonio was the worst of the worst, but it's not the first one. There have been many cases, including those who have suffocated inside tractor trailers, accidents, people drowning, people falling off the wall that try to cross. So these calamities have been occurring for not years, for decades. But smugglers will, of course, continue to try to recruit migrants, making them believe falsely that they qualify for asylum. It's their business, after all. Also, those who are waiting and have been waiting for so long, they become so desperate and they decide to go ahead and cross illegally. That's when they are faced with these unscrupulous human traffickers that take advantage of them and put their lives at risk. Now, there's really no way of knowing if the tragedy that we just witnessed in San Antonio included some asylum seekers. You know, many of them have not even been identified, but it is possible. As I said before, some get so desperate waiting in such unsanitary and dangerous conditions in makeshift camps in Mexico that they opt not to wait and they take that risk. But now at least they have a form of doing this legally. It's been lifted, and to them, it's saving lives. This is really a policy that will save lives from here on.
And so many seem to be willing to sacrifice their lives just to make it across the border. Maria Elena Salinas, we thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate your insight tonight.
Thank you, Lindsay.
And overseas, a week of high-stakes meetings with allies. They have now concluded, and tonight President Biden is blasting the Supreme Court, accusing the justices of destabilizing America. Our chief White House correspondent, Cecilia Vega, is traveling with the president in Madrid tonight.
On the world stage for the last day of this high-stakes summit.
Good afternoon, everyone.
President Biden today turning his attention back home, blasting the Supreme Court and what he called its outrageous behavior. The historic ruling overturning Roe v. Wade now prompting a major shift for the president. He wants Congress to pass abortion rights protections at the federal level and says he now supports carving out an exception to Senate rules that would allow Democrats to do this with just a simple majority rather than 60 votes.
I believe we have to codify Roe v. Wade in the law, and the way to do that is to make sure the Congress votes to do that.
But the president, well aware that key members of his own party have said they're not on board with eliminating the filibuster, even when it comes to abortion rights. And just as the president was about to board Air Force One for the flight home, another blow to his domestic agenda, with that Supreme Court ruling limiting the EPA's ability to regulate greenhouse gases. The decision effectively making it impossible for his administration to reach its goal of cutting greenhouse gas emissions in half by 2030 and eliminating carbon by 2050. The White House calling the decision devastating, saying it aims to take our country backwards.
Our thanks to Cecilia Vega. Florida's parental rights and education bill, dubbed by critics as the Don't Say Gay bill, will officially go into effect tomorrow as schools around the state start to prepare for the new school year. And it's not just Florida, as similar legislation has gained steam across the country. So tonight, ABC's Rena Roy takes a look at the laws and how some LGBTQ advocates are pushing back.
As Pride Month comes to a close, outrage remains over what critics call Don't Say Gay bills, as more lawmakers support legislation around the country.
We're going to make sure that parents are able to send their kid to kindergarten without having some of this stuff injected into their school curriculum.
Every single day that this law is on the books, it hurts LGBTQ people. It hurts LGBTQ youth who are now not going to be able to talk about who they really are at school.
In nearly 40 states, lawmakers have come up with more than 200 measures that target LGBTQ plus children and their parents, and nearly 24 of them are still working their way through the state houses of America.
Tell Florida lawmakers to stop policing our education.
We all know that these lawmakers do not care. They do not care that they are harming children. you discuss it in a child-friendly manner. Like, explain that not everyone has a mom and dad. There are people that have two moms. There are people that have two dads.
Alexander Sisko, a trans man, is 21 years old now. He says support in the classroom is crucial for mental health, support he wishes he had.
When I was 17 years old, I did not even imagine myself making it to 18. I truly could not see a future for myself at all. It was just really hard not having my body match who I was.
He says he spent much of those teenage years in and out of psychiatric wards in his home state of California, growing up in the foster care system.
Really bad mental health problems that were going on. I was very suicidal at that point in my life.
Queer teenagers are 4 times more likely to attempt suicide, according to the Centers for Disease Control. Almost a quarter of queer high school students surveyed report attempting suicide in the past year. Alexander says he believes having a place like school to feel safe would help.
Would have saved me a lot of confusion and a lot of self-hatred and wondering, like, is something wrong with me? Like, am I the only one that is feeling this way? Because no one else ever talks about feeling this way.
Advocates are now fighting back against these legislative efforts, saying it further stigmatizes that dialogue for an already marginalized community.
We're not going to allow these legislators to silence our history and to regress our rights and hold up these systems of oppression. We're going to dismantle them, and we're going to have liberation.
Those who support the classroom bans argue it's about parental rights, not discrimination.
We believe that we are helping to safeguard their innocence, their childhood innocence is important, and we support those efforts by lawmakers.
In Alabama, Governor Kay Ivey recently approved a law now tied up in court that could make it a felony for medical professionals to provide gender-affirming care to transgender children under the age of 19.
We need to protect our young people. And if the good Lord makes you a boy when you're born, you're born. If the good Lord makes you a girl when you're born, you're a girl.
Transgender teen Marco Cole began his medical transition in Alabama this year before the governor approved that law.
It's not a matter of protecting kids, it's a matter of discriminating against trans kids.
The governor also requiring students to use bathrooms and locker rooms based on their sex at birth rather than the gender they identify with.
The whole bathroom issue is very akin to like walking into the wrong classroom. Like everyone's looking at you, everyone's wondering why you're in here, what you're doing in here, and like the shame of having to walk out and go to the right classroom.
Feeling ostracized, Marco turned to the Magic City Acceptance Center in Birmingham for support. It offers counseling, health and wellness workshops, and even schooling.
This place is just a godsend to us trans youth, and to have this in a state like Alabama of all places.
When folks have access to spaces that affirm who they are and their gender, we know that it matters because it is life-saving.
Alexander didn't have that kind of support, saying he was forced to seek help away from home, buying a one-way bus ticket from California to New York City.
I arrived here in the middle of February wearing board shorts, flip-flops, and 2 hoodies at 4 a.m. and had no resources whatsoever. I didn't know what to do. I kind of had a panic attack in the middle of Times Square.
After a stay at the hospital, he was referred to the Ali Forney Center in Manhattan, the nation's largest LGBTQ+ community center, providing housing, food, healthcare, education, and employment opportunities.
It gave me a lot of hope.
President Alex Roque paints a grim picture for queer kids who fall through the cracks.
It's ugly, and young people are forced out into the streets, sometimes violently kicked out of their homes.
Marco is planning to stay in Alabama for that very reason.
Me leaving isn't going to make it any better for those who can't. I'd do better to stay here and help those who need help.
And for those who may be struggling, Alexander has this message.
I know sometimes you get really tired of people saying it gets better, especially when it doesn't feel like it, but it will. And you just have to repeat that to yourself all the time, and you will be happy one day.
Our thanks to Rena Roy for that. And if you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide, you can call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. And a major jolt tonight to the collegiate athletic landscape. USC and UCLA have announced they are leaving the Pac-12 conference and joining the Big Ten. Starting in 2024, the Big Ten will now feature a 16-team conference stretching from the middle of New Jersey, not far from the Atlantic Ocean, all the way to Los Angeles on the banks of the Pacific. Both schools pointed to the move being in the best interest of their collegiate athletes. And still to come, allegations their forces killed one of the network's prominent journalists. We have the details. And she went from elite figure skating to jail. Our conversation with Carrie Blakinger coming up.
This is ABC News Live.
The crush of families here in Poland.
At refugee centers
in Putin's Russia.
On the ground in Ukraine.
Close to the front line.
Here at the White House. Destructive Cat 4 storm.
Here along I-5.
Boston is in the bullseye.
Let's go. We made it.
ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news. Anytime, anywhere. Streaming 24/7 straight to you for free.
Thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
America's #1 news, ABC News. Most watched, most trusted, and streaming live to you anytime, anywhere, and free. This is ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news. Free to you 24/7. Watch America's #1 news whenever you want it, wherever you are, anytime. ABC News Live, streaming live and free on all platforms.
National parks are incredibly safe places, but crime will happen.
Hey, my wife has fallen. She's in really critical condition.
At that time, I thought it was just a tragic accident.
There's still a lot of questions we need to ask.
There were small things that didn't totally add up.
This is 2 lives for Harold that have died now. I was shocked. Something's not right.
Now streaming on ABC News Live 2020. True crime, cinematic, real-life drama, stunning, the unthinkable. Follow the clues, The Hunt. True crime 2020. Now streaming on ABC News Live. Take America's #1 news with you anywhere you go, anytime, free. Download the ABC News app now. Breaking news, exclusives, 24/7. There for you with one touch. The ABC News app. Download it now.
Welcome back. We're tracking several headlines from around the world. Al Jazeera will bring the case of the Palestinian-American reporter Shireen Abu Akleh, who was killed. This announcement comes after the release of reports from UN Human Rights Office and several media outlets, including the New York Times and the Associated Press, which show that Israeli security forces fired the bullets that killed Abu Akleh in May. Tear gas or pepper spray was used at a popular nightclub in South Africa when more than a dozen teenagers mysteriously died there, according to an eyewitness, which told that to ABC News. One witness said that he was ordering drinks at the crowded tavern near the South African city of East London over the weekend when suddenly the doors were closed and some type of chemical agent was released into the air. The incident remains under investigation and the causes of deaths have yet to be established. No arrests have been made, according to police. Today, Beijing said NATO's first new strategy concept in a decade, which cites China as a concern for the first time, disregards facts and wrongly defines the country's intentions. A spokesperson for the Chinese Foreign Ministry called the declaration irresponsible, full of Cold War thinking and ideological prejudice. Chinese state media had also warned against South Korea and Japan attending the NATO summit and criticized the alliance's broadening partnerships in Asia. She was an elite figure skater growing up with big Olympic dreams, but when it ended, she dove into self-destruction, falling into addiction. But while trying to hold herself together to complete her degree at Cornell, her life changed when she was arrested and sent to prison. Carrie Blakinger is here to discuss her journey and her new book, Corrections in Ink, a memoir. Thank you so much for joining us. You write about a pivotal moment in your life when your competitive figure skating career ended as a teenager, and you write that you decided to give into the decay and become radioactive. Tell us about that difficult moment in your life and what you meant exactly by those words.
Well, what I meant was that
I'd grown up in skating, and that was sort of my whole identity. I left school every day around like 10 or 11 to go to the rink and train, and I'd be there till 5 or 6. And as I was excelling in skating, I was also just struggling with some mental health issues. I was very depressed as a kid. I struggled with eating disorders. And then when skating fell apart, it just felt like there was nothing left to lose, and I was just going to fall apart to, decay. And that was how I described it.
And you go on to become an Ivy Leaguer who began to struggle with addiction, which eventually landed you in prison after you were arrested carrying $150,000 worth of heroin in Tupperware. And in your book, you open up about all of your adversities, from eating disorders, suicidal thoughts, and your spiral with progressively harder drugs. I'm curious, how did you cope during the writing process, the retelling of all this? What was it like to really have to relive it?
Well, on top of the fact that I was just reliving it, I was also doing this during a pandemic, because most of this writing occurred in like 2020 and 21. So I was writing this like deep, dark personal memoir during a pandemic. And like, I don't know, 0 out of 10, I do not recommend that as a writing practice. Some of it is also a little familiar in that I cover prisons now as a reporter. So I'm sort of familiar with writing about really dark things.
A lot of people who have gone through a similar experience would leave prison and never look back. But your transition coming out of prison is really a feat in and of itself. Tell us about that and what opportunities that you may have had that others didn't.
Well, I was very lucky to end up in a career where I could use the worst parts of my past to make something good. And it was so by chance that I ended up having someone that was a friend of a friend who came to interview me about journalism or about being in jail, and ended up being like, hey, do you want to, write some for us? Do you want to try some journalism? And I was really lucky about that. But, one of the big takeaways I hope that some people get from my book is that even though I've been a success story, there's a lot of systemic barriers that can explain some of the reasons why not everyone comes out of prison and enjoys the level of success that I have. And, that includes things like white privilege and class privilege, and just the fact that I had people who supported me financially when I came out, so that I was able to have some sort of starting place to get a foothold. And a lot of people don't have that. So as much as I hope that people who are inside read this and, have some hope of a second chance, I also hope that people who are on the outside read this and understand why not everybody has a second chance.
And as you briefly mentioned just a moment ago, you now work as an investigative reporter for the Marshall Project, a nonprofit news organization covering the U.S. criminal justice system. Why was it important for you to use your experience with incarceration in order to amplify voices who are experiencing time behind bars and the challenging conditions that many face there?
I mean, I didn't actually set out to do that. I think that it seemed almost trite or predictable, or like people would think that as a former prisoner, that was all I could do was cover prisons. So I started out with a more normal sort of path of general assignment and breaking news. But then when one of my editors said, hey, do you want to start covering death penalty? That sort of expanded into covering prisons and jails and criminal justice more broadly. And I realized that it was something that not only was I good at, in part because of my past, but also that it was something where when I would report a story or do an investigation that would have impact, the value of that really resonated with me because of where I'd been.
And now that you have come out on the other side here, what advice do you have for those who feel that they're experiencing their own downward spiral?
Oh, wow, that's a tough one. I feel like that's asking me to, solve addiction. I mean, I think one of the things is that, when this all sort of started for me and when things started really going badly, I was pretty young. And I mean, I absolutely didn't believe people who said that this was not forever, but I mean, things seemed really bad to me in the moment at 17 when, my skating career and what I thought was my whole life was falling apart. And obviously as an adult, 20 years later, I've had so much more life and so many more experiences. And I realized that wasn't the end. But I don't know that there's any way that adults can tell teenagers that in a way they believe, that's just something you learn.
And have to maybe experience firsthand.
Yeah.
Carrie Blakinger, we thank you so much for talking with us. Her new book, Corrections in Ink, a memoir, is available wherever books are sold. And still to come, we take you inside the colorful musical history of the Essence Festival of Culture.
Right now, with so much at stake, Sunday mornings, this is the place. Taking on all the tough questions, straightforward reporting, no spin, no hype, no bull. Thank you for making ABC's This Week with George Stephanopoulos the #1 Sunday morning news show versus the competition.
Welcome to This Week.
Take America's #1 news with you anywhere you go, anytime, free. Download the ABC News app now. Breaking news, exclusives, 24/7, there for you with one touch. The ABC News app. Download it now.
The most powerful stories of our time, anytime. Nightline.
Ready for a little GMA-ish promo? Okay, here we go. GMA 7A every day with Robin, George, and Michael. That's how you start the day. Boom!
America's #1 news, ABC News. Most watched, most trusted, and streaming live to you anytime, anywhere, and free. This is ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news, free to you 24/7. Watch America's #1 news whenever you want it, wherever you are, anytime. ABC News Live, streaming live and free on all platforms.
Finally tonight, we are going behind the scenes to explain the history of the Essence Festival of Culture, an annual music festival that lights up New Orleans. This year's theme, it's the Black Joy for Me. The 27th Annual Essence Festival of Culture kicks off today. Each year, the festivities take place over the 4th of July weekend in New Orleans. The tradition started back in 1995 as a one-time event to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Essence magazine, a publication geared toward Black women. But it was such a hit, it called for an encore, becoming an annual 3-day affair. And it quickly became the country's largest annual African-American gathering, drawing in nearly 500,000 people from all corners of the world to Louisiana.
There is no Essence Festival of Culture without New Orleans. They were born together, they're tied together. People come from all over the world to Essence Festival because there's nowhere else in the world where they get to all see each other.
Many people also flock to Essence Fest because of its concert lineup. In years past, some of music's biggest names hit the Superdome stage. Mariah Carey, Janet Jackson, Stevie Wonder, Beyonce, even Prince, to name a few. This year, rapper Nicki Minaj will be making her Essence debut. Though it's not just a music fest, it's a party with a purpose.
The Essence Festival of Culture is the culmination of everything Black women care about, the Black community cares about.
It celebrates community and promotes equity through workshops and presentations that discuss everything from beauty and fashion to business and entrepreneurship.
You will inspire people and you will be inspired. You will get hugs and you will get compliments and you will get affirmation from people you've never met but feel like family.
It's the perfect girls' trip and was even featured in the 2017 movie.
Ladies, we made something very special for us this weekend. Oh. Bam!
It's so amazing for all of these girl groups to come together and these groups of friends because there's going to be something for everyone within that group to enjoy themselves.
After 2 years of taking the festivities virtual because of the pandemic, it is now back for its official in-person return.
You cannot replicate the aura and the vibe of what Essence Festival brings.
You will walk away from here feeling empowered.
So grab your cousins, sorority sisters, and old friends for an unforgettable bonding of sisterhood. And the rest, as they say, is history. And that is our show for tonight. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Have a great night.
America's #1 news, ABC.